Hold on, you thought we wasn't coming back? You thought we wasn't coming back? They shut us down 2 weeks ago. You know what I mean? We had a dispute or whatever. We had, we had to fight it off and all that, and all that. You know what I mean? We kind of been in litigation somewhat. You know what I mean? But we here now. All right. You know what I mean? And listen, we probably gonna get shut down again because the stuff that we're gonna say is probably gonna get us shut down. But we are expecting this. We are completely fine with that. You know what I'm saying? We are completely fine with that. But listen, we are bringing you episode 2 to the Black Files, okay? Bring you episode 2 of the Black Files. We got some other stuff coming up too, but you know what I mean? We probably gonna get shut down for that shit too. I'm just gonna be honest. Now listen. All right. Tonight we are talking about, all right, when people in the spotlight tell the truth. The real truth, the unadulterated truth, they get deleted. Okay? So, I gotta welcome in, the other half of the Black Files, Miss Oshun, aka Scully, aka Chronicles of Lola, aka Average at Best, aka the Machine. You know what I'm saying? She's here. And of course she has her research, and I got mine too. But we about to really politic on this, y'all. Like, I hope y'all are ready. Like, man, so take it away, Miss Oshun. What's going on?
Well, hello everyone, and hey, what's the best? I feel that this conversation that we're having, because we've spoken behind the scenes a lot about this topic in general, from the lower level to the higher level, essentially what it really means. Right? Because we can say we notice things, right? But we have to really ask, what does this really mean for us? And you know me, I always try to make sure conversations and questions I ask is relative to my actual life, not necessarily theoretical questions. Like, theoretically, how many dimensions are there, right? That's a theoretical question. However, if you ask the question of, well, how many dimensions do we exist in simultaneously? Now that's that's relevant to us, that has deeper implications. So when I talk about, for instance, people in the spotlight, people that have notoriety, fame, stuff like that, having been assassinated in some way, or let's say came up, deleted, for some odd reason after making controversial statements or whatever the case may be, basically alerting the public to something. This has a deeper implication to what's happening and who's really in charge. Because I know a lot of people think, well, the government is in charge, right? I know people think that, but we'll get into
the powers that be.
Right, they say the powers that be, but they don't really understand the powers that be, right? Like, it's scary. I'm gonna be honest with you. It's scary, and we have to really ask the question: well, how do we move in a world that's set up like what we're gonna talk about? So, I guess you can kick it off and tell me about the most notorious case that you heard or about that, because I got mine. I got mine.
No, go ahead. You start it up since you got yours.
Okay.
I got videos of mine, so go ahead, start off. But before we start it off, we gotta acknowledge our peoples, man, because without our peoples, we wouldn't be here, man. So number one, we gotta give a shout out to Daryl Long. He's the first one up in here. Salute to you, brother. Good to see you. Good to see you. Also, shout out to Peace of My Mind. Shout out to her as well. Also, shout out to Wally, brother Wally. What's going on? What's up? Also, salute to Vagoda. Vagoda, what's going on? Also, the homie Stan Joseph, he said good morning. It ain't morning, brother. It's afternoon, but good morning to you if you're just getting up. But are we waking you up? Maybe it's morning because we waking you up with the truth. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, and y'all also are free to come up because we don't discriminate. Y'all can always come up and debate us or question us or even bring some conspiracy theories of your own about people that in the spotlight that got deleted. You know what I mean? So good morning, Stan. Where you at, Stan? I don't know where he at. We says good morning. But yeah, go ahead, Miss Oshun. I'm sorry.
So no, you're fine. So I did have a lot of videos. I didn't know if we would have time, honestly, depending on what happened, for me to go through mine. But I guess I would rather reference these videos, and everyone can research them on their own, which might be better. But so you have an idea what I'm talking about. The most notable case that I know about where someone was deleted because of what they knew and making it known to the public was JFK. Now keep in mind, I'm not talking about JFK from the standpoint of civil rights. A lot of people assume that the reason he was assassinated was because of his involvement in the civil rights movement. However, if you look up JFK on the civil rights movement, he literally was a very neutral player.
Adobe Apparel.
Hi. He was very much neutral. And outside of being neutral, he didn't really make any he didn't sign any legislation. He didn't give any speeches in reference to anything that made any core movement in the civil rights movement. So
now to give the people some background, that was Lyndon B. Johnson.
Correct. Correct.
Okay, let's give some background.
Right. So it wasn't JFK, but a lot. That's what I'm saying. Like that's just so everyone to be clear, right? So the question is, well, why was JFK? Hey, M3.
Hey, what's up?
Hi. So the question is, well, if JFK wasn't assassinated because of his involvement in the civil rights movement, then what was he assassinated for? So, right. So, but you have to understand, like, when you really push past all the fluff, for instance, like the guy that they said that assassinated him saying, I didn't do this, and he was set up and what all this other stuff, right?
Yeah, because it was too many bullets for him to actually do that.
Correct.
And also from the height of which they say he got shot at, it wasn't possible for him to get shot at that point. You know
but keep in mind, that's after a forensic analysis later on. Like much later on, we figure out, wait a minute, nothing is possible. All right. So my thing is this, right? I've always asked, well, why was he killed, right? So when I started looking deeper into what he was involved in, right, and looking at his life over the years, what I started to notice is he had dealings with the Soviets that went fundamentally against what higher powers wanted known to the public or done in general. And what I mean by the Soviets is this: JFK was forced to reconcile with a world with what he considered to be a threat to let's say global security, not just national security, but global security. And so his idea, was if I can partner with the biggest guy on the biggest gun on the block, we can essentially serve as essentially our own protection in the world. And I'll get into why I'm not talking about what that is against, right? So when what happened was about 10 days before he got assassinated, he sent a letter to the CIA, essentially demanding for them to share information that he knew they had with NASA. Okay. So he's telling what you're going to do 365 days from now is share information with this newfound administration called NASA. Now, everybody that knows NASA was created outside of what's called NACA. And NACA was basically just the National Advisory Commission for Aeronautics. Basically, they study how planes work, like to build planes.
Now, Lola, I got a question. Wasn't the CIA made under JFK's administration?
The CIA was essentially, let's say, solidified under him, right? However, it's still solidified under him. However, the CIA is essentially a tool of the black government, is what I call it, right? Of the black government. And so, because they're
the black files, y'all, the black government.
Right, the black government. They are essentially the outward tool of
M3 had to take off his shades. Goddamn.
When JFK when JFK sent that letter to the CIA, and he sent that letter on November 12th, 1963, right? He sent that letter and told them basically, he said, all your classified documents involving, quote, UFO intelligence files must be turned over to NASA because it threatens national security. It's a national security. And don't get me wrong, this document is heavily redacted, but I'm gonna be honest with you. The parts that's redacted is the part that is historically is the part that show you who he was talking to, and it tells you where he was talking to in terms of like where they were, that actual person that was in the CIA at the time. So here's the issue too. There's been this talk of another document that was created, that was thrown in a fire, that referenced him as his code name Lancer. Now, I don't know where they got this code name.
Yes, I heard about that.
Okay.
Yes.
I don't know where they got Lancer from, but wherever that come from, they basically said Lancer is making inquiries that he shouldn't be making, that he don't have clearance to make. Now, notice the president of the United States does not have clearance to ask and inquire about UFO documents in 1963. Okay? He don't have to hit his clearance ain't high enough. So this is why I say there's a black government that controls the government that you outwardly see. It has to be that way. And the thing is, right, when JFK said to them publicly in this note, in this memo, that this is what you're gonna do, and I expect to see it on my desk he gave a specific date in 1964, like a year later. The thing about it is, after that other document was created stating that something about they need to make the terrain wet, something about terrain being wet. Now that's code word, if everybody know about basically assassination. Now after that, he gets assassinated.
You get wet up. They even said in the hood, you get wet up.
Right, wet up. So this is what was in the document. And then 10 days later, when he's doing a public tour in Texas, he gets assassinated, and they try to make it seem like some lone government that was a right-winger that hate black people killed. I mean, deleted him. And when you really break it down, it's like this dude basically told the world, I want to become allies with the Russians. And I want to become allies with the Russians because of what I know that's going on in this government. So now he's like, okay, he's above his pay grade at this point. Because keep in mind with JFK, he was a senator.
Okay.
JFK was a senator back when Roswell happened. Okay.
Yeah, the whole Roswell thing. Word.
So he was very much aware of what was going on at the Pentagon back in the early 50s when they made that infamous statement that they were investigating UFOs and they determined that they were not a threat. And they are unexplained. However, they don't find that there's a threat. JFK was very much in politics at that time. So he was aware that there was like military personnel reporting that when they were in their fighter jets, that they're being basically taunted by these crafts that are messing with their technology or whatever. So
these are all the code names for JFK. These are all the code names right here.
Right, Lancer. That's the first one. Right, that's the one. Lancer. The lyric. They get in trouble with lyric. Okay.
Man, they all got code names. Man, look at this. Oh shit.
Yeah, man.
That's what I'm saying. So this is what I'm saying. So when I tell you that there are certain things that when you are a public figure, right, you have to keep in mind that the fact that you are a public figure, that means that you are what the government and the black government is using for the purpose of the public, like the public cognition, right? You're not the government. So when you start talking about things you don't have clearance to talk about to free people, right? You are looking to get, as they say, wet. Okay, you looking to walk into the rain. And I feel bad because JFK, honestly, right? Because he was a key player in the NASA development. He honestly felt that his mission in terms of the space race was Earth's number one priority. And I listened to a recording of him on the phone. No, he was in person with the administrator, the head administrator over there at NASA. And he was telling him that, what's his name? James Webb, okay? And he was talking to James Webb, and he was telling James Webb that, listen, getting to the moon is important, not because we're going to the moon, but essentially for political stability. It's important that we get to the moon and essentially share this information. The head of NASA told him it's not really that important. That's his job. He's hired by the president to make that a top priority. And he's telling the president, I don't agree with you. This isn't a top priority. So he's telling his boss, you need to stop talking about this. So when President Kennedy said, no, I'm still going to continue to talk about this, and we're getting to the moon, and I'm going to continue to pour money into this, now he became more of a threat because he made a statement over the phone. And you know, he started his own bug program, right, in the White House. He made a statement.
I just want to throw something out there real quick. One of my favorite albums is Pink Floyd, Dark Side of the Moon. I ain't trying to get spacey on y'all, but we already here. So let's go.
Oh, I think I remember that song too.
No, the whole album, Pink Floyd, Dark Side of the Moon. Incredible album.
I think I remember something about that some years ago. It's vague. But the thing is, right, with Kennedy, he was so hell-bent on sharing this technology with the Russians and essentially creating a secure Earth that he forgot that as a senator, right, he knows that the president is not the king of politics. He knows that. But he was acting like the king of politics. And so when he went out in the open public, right, in my opinion, I'm not saying this is what he was thinking, but I know that he knew he could be assassinated for making such demands on the CIA and the government that the CIA reports to, which isn't him. So it's like, I know he knew that. So the fact that he was in a drop top, okay, as they say, you know, rolling through Texas of all places in the open, I'm like, dude was kind of, I don't know, to me, it looked like he was trying to say, I'm untouchable. And he wasn't untouchable. He's not untouchable. And so a lot of people try to say, well, you know, he was involved with the mafia and the Russian mafia, not the Russian, the Irish mafia and stuff like that.
Italian.
Right. But none of that makes any sense when you start talking about the political issues that he had going on internally. Anytime he makes a statement that, look, I'm about to do something that nobody wants me to do involving international security. Yeah, he got deleted because he has someone he reports to. And if he think he's above his boss, he will pay with his life. And that's everybody. It's not just him. But the reason I chose him is because a lot of people, his assassination has been covered up so heavily, right? That it's like you have to understand it's not just about UFOs. Like the UFO angle is really the least of the issue. The issue that you have to really pay attention to is he is the leader of the free world. And everybody reports to him. And granted, the government is set up so nobody really owns the government. However, everyone in government knows there's a secret government behind them that controls things, that literally says the president's like his pay grade level might not have the clearance for certain things. For instance, President Roosevelt, right? He was involved in unlisted projects that his vice president Truman had no idea about. So when he died, and Mr. Best, we talked about this, when he died and Truman came into the understanding of what was going on, Truman was like, how is it that I didn't know any of this? It's because Truman's clearance wasn't high enough to know about certain things.
Remember, Roosevelt wanted when he wanted to release that second Bill of Rights, which would have gave us free health care, right? It would have made sure that we all had a stable home, and that the jobs that we worked allow us to have a stable home.
But keep in mind that right there, to a degree, would put him in the hot seat. But I can't say that that's why Roosevelt died. But that could have been a reason.
I think that was why, because that would allow us. When I mean us, you know what I mean by us. You ain't got a question. It would allow us to be on the same almost equal footing as the oppressor.
All
You know what
right.
I mean?
So look at it this way: we take that angle with
I can
Roosevelt.
ask something. Roosevelt is the guy in the chair, right?
Say that again.
Roosevelt is the president that you
He's
had
talking
in
about
the
Abraham
wheelchair.
Lincoln.
No, not Lincoln. I'm talking about the guy that you talked about. The president that you talked about is the guy in the wheelchair.
Correct.
Yeah, just want to be from what I remember.
Yes, that's him, the one that ultimately was in the wheelchair. What I guess the point of bringing Roosevelt up was that Roosevelt, he was involved in a lot of different things, right, behind the scenes and on the scene. Like he was involved in blacklist projects, and he was involved in like things like what Mr. Best just said, as far as like, you know, things that certain factions wouldn't want done, right? So there was a precedent for him to be assassinated because he's doing things against his pay grade, to be honest with you. However, what he was doing in the background, right, could have gotten him assassinated, but because he was playing his position, meaning he wasn't making no public statements about it. The only reason why the public knows about it is because when he died and Truman took over, his vice president, Truman made it public that he had no knowledge of what had came to him as far as like what got dropped in his lap. He didn't know. And it was a lot for him to take on. And obviously the White House is heavily recorded in terms of what happens historically. So we started learning that Roosevelt was involved in things that, the black government had going on, but nobody knew about it, including his own vice president. So it's like when you have presidents that do not have clearance enough to be told certain things, that is, in my opinion, that's the most evidence that anyone really needs that there is a secret government that governs the government. Period. Like, and there's nothing.
You was a racist, no?
Two Americas, y'all. But hold on. Before we even go to that part, and that's a good statement for Golda. I want to salute to Rush and salute to Marcus, also on M3. I want to give everybody a chance to chime in. So y'all brothers can definitely chime in. You know, whoever want to go first can go first, and y'all can kind of share what y'all want to share.
Yo, salute.
Salute, bro.
Salute to the panel. Salute to you, best in the world, now, man, and Marcus and all that. You heard? But what she talking about is official, man. But I think the people that's orchestrating everything behind the scenes is the reptilian race. You know what I mean? And a lot of people don't want to expound on that because you know what I mean? It's kind of like, you know what I mean, the boogeyman. You know what I mean? It's not a real thing to most heads. You know what I mean?
Yes, sir.
So I was gonna ask to see. I'm coming in as a humble student on this part. You know, not that I even really care about like JFK's like personal life like that, but when you mentioned about the black government, Lola, I think this is the first time I ever even heard anyone make a reference to a government of blacks. Because when we hear about the government, of course, it has nothing to do with us. So can you explain about like what is this like black government that you're talking about?
The black government that I'm referring to is now it has deeper implications than what I'm talking about, but I guess we'll get into that later. The black government is the reason why it's called or it's referenced to as the black government is because it's a government that you will never see.
Chicago ruler, what's good, baby?
Only understand that it exists due to its influence over the government you do see. So, as we said right now, whenever someone is in a political place, right, or let's say a public place as an individual, and they make statements that go against whatever agenda, right, and they come up deleted, the reason they come up deleted is because they were ordered to come up deleted and not by what people generally consider as the government we know about. That's not the one that's actually making that call. Like, don't get me wrong. Yes, you got some one-off circumstances where, like, you got some lone or some people that want to be terrorists, right? You do. However, when you really start tracing things back, you start realizing that no, things are, even the highest officials that we know of that have the most power in the world has someone that they give an account to, and that's someone you'll never know unless you're in that position. But that one that they give an account to isn't one individual. It's a black government that no one sees, but everybody is aware of. For instance, there's a sector of the government, right, that work on secret projects, right? Whatever secrets they are, that it's so secret that the employees are footed, like they brought to work together in a convoy where the windows are blacked out, and the employees every day don't know where they're going.
Black out's really here. Everything black, y'all.
When I say blacked out, I mean as in like the cars that they're in, they can't see out the windows. They don't even know.
And aren't they like debriefed after they go on a mission or something like that?
No, they're not. Here's the thing: this government is very, very specific in that if your job is to come up with a specific thing as a scientist or whatever the case may be, you won't have knowledge about nothing else outside of that. So therefore, there's projects that go on to which the people working on them don't even know where they're at when they're working on them because it's that secret. They go underground and work on it, but you don't know what state you in. They take you in these envoys and you just go and you just don't know anything but what you know. So therefore, it's like there's a few people that have gotten out of that have reported that this is what happened, but they can't tell you where they were at because they don't know. All they know is that when they were working for the government, so-called in these secret projects, they would be told every morning to meet at a certain place, and they were taken to their job location and brought back. They don't know where they went. They don't know if they was on top of the mountains. They don't know if they was in the clouds. They don't know if they was underground. They just know where they were was top secret. And it's like the government is not doing all of that because it's the government. It's not the government we know. It's the black government that you don't see.
So Lola, so what Peace of Mind is saying right in chat is that like it's not hard. We pretty much oppress one another. That is pretty much her version of what she's looking at as the black government, as a system that is still suppressing us, but they're just our own people.
Oh, I will say this, right? Two things can be true at the same time, right? And to that point, yes, there is an aspect of reality where on our level, right, everyday mundane level, that we oppress each other, right? That's one level of it, right? But that's the lowest level that you can talk about. Like that's the lowest level. Like where we see each other and we oppress each other because we just want to and nobody really can stop us. That is not what I'm talking about. Like
I don't oppress anyone, if I may say.
Say that again.
I said I don't oppress anyone, if I may say.
Well, and see, that's what I'm saying. Like there's some people.
I'm not oppressing anyone.
There's some people
we're not naming you, brother. So go ahead, Lola.
Hello,
Marcus, chime in whenever you can. Go ahead, Lola.
I was gonna wait till Lola.
He said we. I want to say I don't.
Well, that what Peace of Mind said goes to what Vigoda just said. That he says, well, I haven't oppressed anyone specifically, right? So in that conversation, there's that back and forth in terms of, well, who's oppressing who? That's a certain level of what we're talking about here, but it's the lowest level of what we're talking about. Like we totally know that oppression comes from many different places, right? But there's certain.
I feel oppressed because you still made me a sandwich, and I'm still waiting for that sandwich. So.
Okay, but what he's saying, I agree with that. Everybody isn't oppressing everybody, but that's one layer of it. What we're talking about is the layer that when you think that you are the leader of the free world and nothing is above you, and then you get shown that there's a lot of people above you, like in terms of your clearance, like your clearance is not high enough as a president to know certain things and actually do certain things and say certain things. Listen. Like that, I think that's proof enough that there's a black government. But I'm only using JFK as an example of that because everybody knows JFK and everybody's seen his assassination on national television. So nobody can sit here and say that, oh, well, that was something that was just, petty crime. Everybody knows that wasn't petty crime. But that's just one example of that of how people can get taken out for saying the wrong thing. And in his case, he didn't even make a public statement. He literally wrote a letter, a memo to the CIA, and then they was like, oh, hell no. So, they reported on his ass. But that's just one example. But
can I chime in now?
Go ahead.
Hold on. Let Marcus ask his
Yeah.
ahead,
So I was just trying to remember what was said earlier when y'all said that it was Lyndon B. Johnson who created the CIA. Was that what was said?
No, that's not what we said.
No.
Talking about civil rights. You're talking about the Civil Rights Act.
Oh, you're talking about civil rights. Because I was going to say the CIA wasn't even called CIA when it was originally made.
Correct.
It was called the OSS, the Office of Strategic Services.
Right. No, we weren't talking about that. We were talking about NASA and how and the CIA, but basically how it basically was solidified around the time of JFK, around the late 50s and early 60s, coming out of the 40s, which was obviously it was a whole nother department at that time. But that's what we was talking about. We kind of went into Roosevelt and Truman just as an example of basically when you don't have clearance to make public statements, how your life is always on the line. And as Mr. Best said, it's like Roosevelt, he didn't share blacklisted project secrets to the public. However, he did share other things that potentially probably what got him deleted. But like
the second Bill of Rights, basically.
Yeah. Oh, all right. Well, because these conversations are always sometimes you got to say certain terminology so that way sometimes certain streams won't get bombarded or flagged or something. Like instead of saying
we're gonna get blacked out anyway. That's what we're trying to do.
Yeah, like the whole terminology. Uncle Sam is the one who did it. Like Uncle Sam is the one who's responsible for certain things. You know what I'm saying? So like the whole black market, there's underground market, whatever. There's been people that have been silenced before for trying to expose certain things. That's why people that run newspapers, they run articles, journalists are targeted a lot in certain countries. That's why certain people that work for agencies can be backstabbed and by their own corrupted, so-called bureaucracy and agency they work for. So, whether it's Kiki Camarena, whether it's Gary Webb, who worked for San Jose Mercury News, whether it's Mr. Merrick Schmoden, who, under his real name, can't be said on YouTube, living in another crimson bureaucracy, out there, and he has asylum. So,
man, Marcus dropping some terminology right now.
Yeah, so so it's like people got to check their phones twice. They got to unscrew their phones. They got to check their smart TVs and laptops. Make sure there's not another secret little hidden agenda of a device there while you turn it off. So these are pretty interesting conversations because the rabbit holes are huge. But there's some truth behind it, and it's true. There could be more than one answer. That's something that I usually believe. There's more than one right answer. Two or three things can be right at the same time. Well, something's happening over here. The same thing could be happening in a different way over there, and somehow they're connected in a certain way. It's like a domino effect. So it isn't just one group of people getting affected. It could be a group of people that are sacrificed on both sides. And, it could be back to the Iran.
I want to say also something about the.
Go for it. You're saying?
You finished?
I think did you freeze?
I don't know, because I thought Vagoda was going to say something. That's why.
Yeah.
I thought that you finished. If you didn't finish, then you can finish. Then
go ahead, bro. Go ahead.
Yeah, go for it, Vagoda.
Okay. About the black government, I think what will be more accurate is people that are in positions of power, in positions of persuasion. Let's take for example Biden. He has a lot of people that he take their advice. He has a lot of people that has influence on him, and that's even before we talk about people that runs big companies or big organizations. Okay, so for example, Jeff Bezos, He is a very powerful guy.
Well, I'll say this, right? I'm aware that a lot of the lobbyists that have a lot of control over the pockets of a lot of politics are in some of these major companies, right? However, this is what I'm saying. They are too a part of that black government, because you really never it's not just one thing or one section or one faction, and that's why it's too big. And I know some people would say, well, you know, the way you expose this is by telling the world it exists. That's not how you expose it, because that's not going to get rid of it. That's just going to make people feel like, well, maybe you're lying, and maybe you don't know. And now all it does is give the government room to create conspiracy around the truth. Like, so if you say, well, you know, I'm going to sit and like Mr. Schmokin, if you know what I'm talking about over there in Russia, he outed people, right? But what happened? They're still in power. The life is still going on. The government did not change, and it is in no position to change. So it's like you can't just say, "I'm gonna out these people. I'm gonna tell what the government knows about, and I'm gonna expose the government," because it's like you don't even know what you're exposing. You think you're exposing the government, but it's like the government, it runs too deep in terms of what it is there, what's there for you to expose. So when you think you're exposing one thing, in reality, you're not exposing that. The government is too saturated for you to do that. And I think, I honestly do think that.
What I missed?
I honestly do think that people that call themselves exposing the government for the cause of the betterment of society, they haven't really thought that through. They just haven't. They just haven't. Like, there's a reason why the president doesn't get up on the podium every morning and tell you what the fuck happened yesterday that just landed on his desk this morning. Like, there's a reason why he don't.
The reason that he doesn't tell you that is because of it's national security.
Well, no, it's not.
No,
just
it's because of world crisis.
It's not just because of national security. It's that at the end of the day, his job, okay, is to keep things civil, meaning keep society running. Society runs based on everybody being good. But when it comes to the truth, the government is not there to tell you the truth. The government is there to make sure things stay running. That's a whole different side of the coin right there. So it's like I was saying about JFK. He's writing to
I don't
the
agree
CIA
with that, but okay.
He's writing to the CIA about national security and the responsibility that NASA has to national security, right? As far as these documents of all of this stuff that has to do with aerial phenomenon and UFOs. However, okay, his job was not to do that. His job was to just say whatever they told him to say or not say. That was his job. But because he went above and beyond, that's when it became a problem. And again, he's saying this is because of national security. However, it's not just about national security, because keep in mind, the Vatican has power as well over these conversations, and we don't. Nobody is.
You're talking about a modern day Vatican or the Vatican in the Middle Ages?
No, I'm talking about the Vatican period. No matter what.
Okay, the Vatican today, in all due respect, it's today compared to the power that the Vatican had in the Middle Ages is a joke.
No, I'm not comparing it. And here's the problem of what you're saying. You're saying it's a joke. Meanwhile, they control all the information that all
the Vatican?
They're not a joke. They prefer you to think that. They prefer you.
You're saying that the Vatican control information?
No, I'm not saying that the Vatican controls the information. What I'm saying is the Vatican has its hand in control, period. It's not just information. They control people. They control information. They control countries. They control resources. At the end of the day, it's not just one source. It's not just one source. The Vatican is.
I disagree.
If you disagree that the Vatican is involved, then you might as well disagree that anybody is
involved in what?
Conversation doesn't exist. So it's
but
like,
involved in what exactly?
I'm not, and that's the thing. The point that they have there is that you will never know what their involvement is. You will only know that they are involved, and that is.
Yeah, but you claim that they are involved in something. In what exactly they are involved?
If everybody had clearance to know what they are involved in, then they wouldn't be involved in anything. The point to this entire conversation is that the government that controls what you think is the government is too multifaceted for you to think that reporting one person or one section of it actually knocks down this monumental thing we call a government that is really something else. Like, it's too much for you to think that it's going to get knocked down. This is why people get deleted and nothing happens. Literally,
Okay,
nothing happens.
look, with all due respect, I think that the Vatican, in the end of the day, maybe in the Middle Ages they had the power to do crazy stuff, but today, if you want to see
To exile
players
one.
that are not countries, then I think just Jeff Bezos and other billionaires and other bigger corporations, they will be a more suitable for that stuff, and not the Vatican. The Vatican is just a small part of in Rome and just a few thousand people.
Creating a red herring. You're saying that because you can't tell the percentage, then what you're gonna do is say what the percentage is, and that's a red herring. Nobody's saying what their involvement specifically is, but the fact is,
no, I said that the Vatican is, in my eyes, it's very weak. If you want
Little big rich slaps. Big
You're
rich,
not
what up,
in
baby?
You're not in the Vatican. You don't live at the Vatican. You're not involved at the Vatican.
I visited there once.
Your clearance is not high enough for you to say what is going on with the Vatican.
Yeah, but
wait a minute. Hold on.
okay.
You're losing the point of the conversation. And on this channel right here, we don't go off into yonder like we might do on other platforms. At the end of the day, nobody is saying that the Vatican is in control of everything. However, the point is, you got control of a government you can't see that's being manipulated by different factions, and the Vatican is just one. We already talked about the companies that got influenced, that control things from behind the scenes. We already talked about the black projects that are controlled by beings and people that we don't even know and will never know because it's not written down anywhere. We already know that. Our point is the reason why people come up missing, the reason why people go deleted is because there is not just a government here that is here to enforce liberty and justice. That right there is just for show. It's the hand of the king, as they say. It's not the real actual government. It's just the one that you see.
Hey Lola, can I ask you something then? Since before you finish, would you rather live here? Or would you rather live somewhere else that you said that they try to treat the people less or have less rights on?
On what planet can you go that this government that I'm talking about is not at? Weird.
Hold on, how are you going to deflect the question with the question? Answer the question first, and then you can go on to your question. Would you rather live? Would you rather live in this country, or would you go to a different country in the third world or second world?
You'll be on the
Just,
point right now.
just stop deflecting. Just answer the question. Why are you going to ask a question with the question?
You're beyond the point asking the question.
Would you rather live here in this country?
Oh shit!
All the lavishes and all the freedoms you get, and all the sacrifices that people make, or would you live in a different country? Where women have less rights. Where women have less rights.
Like North Korea.
My thing again, so you can
like in North Korea.
Shit up, bro.
There at least you know who rules you.
I'm gonna throw you the admin thing in the stream, so you can start chopping some intellectual soapbox shit up, man. I know you can do it, bro. You know what I'm saying?
It's just funny how people want to deflect all of a sudden.
What I'm saying is this conversation is not about.
Here we go.
So who said that? Who's talking right now?
It was me.
Okay, Marcus. Okay, don't come off mute for a little bit, because when I'm talking, what happens is on this channel, for whatever reason, the voices get blocked out on the restream. So if y'all just keep on coming off mic just to say random stuff, that I'm not dealing with that tonight. Y'all can do that on some of those other streams. But what I'm saying is this: nobody here is complaining about the U.S. government. Like the U.S. government, as me and Mr. Best have stated, not even stated, but we've explained in a sense, and he'll explain further.
I complain about the USA government.
Hold on. Okay.
Stay over there, Vigoto. Stay over there. Stay over there, Vigoto.
Hey. What? I have complaints about Biden. He's a pervert grandpa.
Mute yourself, Vigoto. Mute yourself. But hold on.
Mr. Best, I sent you a message.
Okay. So this is hold on. I got everything. But hold on.
No.
Why you need to mute me?
Let me finish what I was saying because he keep coming off mute. So take him down.
Yeah, you got to mute yourself, Vagoda. I got to take you down, bro. You got to mute yourself down. Okay.
Take him down.
Hold on, he muted.
Take him down because I when people come off mute more than 3 times, I already know what's hitting for. Take him down. Because until I finish.
Why you want to take me down? I didn't do anything.
Right. Okay. So what we were saying, and Marcus, I want you to understand this clearly. Nobody here is saying that anyone can circumvent the actual government that is in control. And this is why I said that this black government that I'm talking about exists everywhere. There's no place you can go. There's no president that's immune to it. You might think people are immune to it, but it's not. No one is immune to it. So when you ask the question of, well, what country would you want to live in? That has nothing to do with the conversation. It goes against the logic of the conversation. What I don't want people to think is I'm complaining about the U.S. government. Because at the end of the day, the U.S. government has a job to play, and they have done it well. Okay, they really have done their job. So that right there is like, I don't want you to think that we're here to talk about the U.S. government and what the U.S. government is doing in our personal lives. That's not what this conversation is about.
Well, hold on, Marcus.
Let me rephrase it.
Marcus does have hold on, Marcus. I just want to say something. Marcus does have that is a significant question, though. Would you rather live here or someone else? I mean, that is a significant question, though. So,
that's a good question to somebody who's talking about something relative to that. But it's like,
but let me rephrase it then. Let me because I don't hear this question asked a lot. What are certain concepts that maybe other governments, other countries do that maybe we can implement to America's government that America isn't doing to help out the people?
America's job is not to help anybody.
No. But I'm saying the policies and certain privileges and accesses that maybe are still lacking in certain days here in America. What are certain things that other governments, other countries do as an idea, as a brainstorm, to see what are other possible solutions to help out the people here that people face as an issue every day here in America?
There's no country that is immune from bullshit. Just because they got one thing right, because of maybe some resources.
So hold on. I think y'all confusing each other because
that is, and that's
hold on.
The point that I'm saying.
Hold on 1 second.
About the U.S. government. So when people ask,
Lola, hold on 1 second. Hold on 1 second, Lola. Hold on. I think y'all confusing each other, right? Because this is the thing, right? You're saying that everything is controlled, I guess, by one central power force that I guess rules the whole world, right? So it doesn't really matter if you moved or not, right? Essentially, is that what you're trying to say? So even if you move to like let's just say Saudi Arabia, you move to Europe or wherever, it kind of wouldn't matter because you feel like you still would be under the same system no matter what. Is that what you're trying to say in your statement?
What? No, I'm going further than that. There's no place on the moon that you can go that is not already owned by this government. And yes, people own property on the moon. Did you know that? Yeah.
Damn, I ain't know all that though.
It's like, no, there's people, high priced people that own property on the moon under certain governments. So at the end of the day, nobody's here is talking about the government's position on poor people. The government here is not meant to take care of poor people. It's meant to keep the system going. And the system they have is a system that sustains the middle class. Meanwhile, okay, that middle class is not that important. Okay. So it's like the purpose of government is not to take care of poor people. So I don't want to entertain conversations like that in this type of conversation because it derails the point. It's like if you want to talk about the U.S. policies and stuff like that when it comes to the Senate and the House and stuff, sure, talk about that on that level. But what I'm talking about has nothing to do with that level of government, like none whatsoever.
Well, I know Elon Musk definitely invested a lot into.
So, Lola, is it fair to say if you ask a question to people, can they refuse to answer that question?
You asking me my opinion on how people answer questions?
Yeah. So if you basically, that's basically what you said is you're refusing to answer the question or refusing to entertain it. So when you ask the question, you just said that though. So If you ask a question the next time, no, but if you ask a question the next time, is it fair to just say, I refuse to entertain your question, refuse to answer your question?
If you ask me a question that is within context of the conversation, then obviously it's great. It's a question. There's nothing wrong with it. But if you ask me a question that is not within the context of what I'm saying, and it forces me to talk about something that I'm not talking about and confuse my audience, yes, I will tell you I'm not answering that question at this time. Like, I will tell you that. I'm okay with that.
Okay, but it's fair vice versa too, right?
If you got a platform and I come on saying that, then yeah, you and I ask you.
No, I mean, regardless though.
Not answer it. Yeah, you definitely got the right not to answer it if
regardless if it's your platform or not, though.
I can't answer regardless. I can only deal with what's here right now.
Okay.
I mean, I'm not saying that your question
it sounds a little contradictory, though. I'm just saying.
Your question isn't valid here because it's besides the point.
Hold on. Time out. We will handle this behind the scenes.
No, it ain't nothing to handle behind the scenes. People, and I see some people in the chat saying the same thing. It's like if you as an individual don't understand what I'm talking about, then you can ask me about what I'm talking about. But if you want to ask me a question that is specifically related to something that I'm not talking about, and you want to just talk about that because that's what you know about, then at this point, that's not the point of this stream. That it's not, and I'm not going to get drawn into that because these streams get real long, and I can't do that. I'm not doing that on this stream. Now, maybe on another stream, I'll entertain questions that really might not necessarily be specific, but not on this stream. And that's all I'm saying to Marcus, that yeah, everybody has a right not to answer a question. My thing is, I'm telling you why I'm not answering that question is because it's besides the point here. I don't want to talk about petty government here. That's not the point of this conversation. Like, why people come up missing, like, by decree, like, has nothing to do with petty government. Like, so it's like, why are we talking about that?
Well, to be fair, that's why I was including the other governments too, and other nations. That's why.
Okay, you're
so it could be more of a global scale.
You're involving people.
Yeah, but I was involving the global scale of it too, though. To be fair, Lola.
The poor people of all countries do not matter when it comes to this conversation that we're talking about. They just don't. So, what's the government's responsibility? None.
But do they serve a purpose? Do those people serve a purpose?
Hold on, y'all. For gold, I didn't kick you out. I just dropped you down. I would have brought you back up. You're not kicked out. You can come up anytime. But you have to stay muted though when we're talking. All right.
That's not the government's responsibility to take care of poor people. Like, there's nothing written in legislation that is the purpose of government. So it's like, do I want to talk about that? No. Why? Because I'm not really even talking about U.S. politicians or U.S. policy or U.S. governments. That's not even what I'm talking about. So that's why we can't go down that road because it stalls out after a while.
So I'm getting treated like Ali. That's what I'm doing. I'm basically getting treated like Ali.
No, don't say that.
I'm getting the Ali treatment. So I feel you.
Don't say.
Okay, well, you and Ali can hook up and start a stream about petty government.
We got it. No worries.
I'm just saying.
Hey, we'll make sure we can deflect any questions too. Is that cool? Yeah, I got you.
Guys, we will handle. Hold on, y'all. We're gonna handle this behind the scenes. All right, I want to move the conversation forward. All right. So, Von Eric, welcome up, brother. Anything you want to share about what you've heard so far? I know you've been listening. What up?
Oh, what up? So far, I just want to ask a question. When you talk about a shadow government or like a government that works behind the government, which is bigger, some people may say it's bigger than like what you say, petty government, or bigger than all governments.
Correct.
Okay. All right. Correct. I got you.
Correct. And the reason why we're talking about that tonight is because Mr. Best has some examples, but I gave one example of JFK, and that his assassination was proof enough, at least for me, without going too deep, that there's a government behind the government because he didn't have clearance to ask certain questions, let alone make statements about UFO information as it pertained to the Soviet Union and the CIA. All he did was ask that the CIA share information with NASA, which is a U.S. administration, and he got deleted because of that. He didn't do anything. He just opened his mouth at the wrong time to the wrong person, and he didn't have clearance enough. His clearance wasn't high enough for him to do that. And that was my example of why even the highest positions in U.S. government is a small thing in comparison to who really is in charge and how they're in charge, because it's not a paper trail. You just know when you in that space what it is. There's no paper trail. You won't see it, but you will see it. Like, you'll understand what's going on, even though it's not an administration with a paper trail and a specific like PO box address, whatever. Like, it's real, and you don't need all of that to know it's real. Anytime politicians are being, literally, dropped like flies, like, you know that. So that's what I'm saying. That's the proof enough for me. But if somebody else has another type of proof that, well, that doesn't exist, right? I guess that would be something that I'm willing to entertain. But right now, what people are doing is talking about, well, U.S. government and their position on poor people. And I'm like, yo, that is besides the point when it comes to the greater issue that it is at hand all over the world. So when I was asked about, well, where do you want to live? That question comes under the auspice that I'm complaining about a specific government. When in reality, like you said, I'm not talking about any specific government. All governments have to adhere to this one, as you said, shadow government or black government that is controlling who says what and who is in what position. Now, I'll say,
do you think because a lot of things that you're saying, JFK did that, said that in his radio address.
Mm-hmm.
So do you think that was a part of them taking him out? Because a lot of things that you said, he said that in his radio address.
What he said in his addresses, right, was essentially what he thought was real, right? Like, he had a right to say that. I know he bugged the White House because he felt that he was being watched, and he felt that he was being watched by people that would kill him. That's why I said I didn't understand why he went out into that in Texas with no protection on that vehicle. I didn't understand what that was about. It seemed like he was trying to say I'm untouchable. However, what he was essentially trying to tell the public was that, well, yeah, these people are after me and this, that, and the third, but he really didn't understand who was really after him. All he know is there's somebody else out there and I can't control them. And I want to tell people what I know or what I think I know about this government. So it's like he got a right to do that, but he also know what the consequences is as well if he go too far in that conversation. It's just like President Bush. He was clear. He was honest that they didn't find no weapons of mass destruction over there. He said that. But did he tell you the truth for the reason why they didn't? No, he ain't never gonna tell you. But he got it right. He can tell you that. His clearance is high enough to tell you that. But his clearance is not high enough to tell you why certain people came up missing over there and why that man's family was the first family on a U.S. plane out of the country on 9/11. He can't tell you why that was because his clearance ain't high enough for that. But as much as we think President Bush was in control of stuff, he wasn't in control of nothing. He was
that's true because Obama said it in his speech. He said there's a lot of things as president I do not know. He said it's things that goes on, but once it gets out of hand, that's when I step in. Mm-hmm. One of the things that when they went into Libya, that was done, and many people was talking, that was done by a shadow government that went in, had that war started, so Obama to send troops there. That's why Obama said that was the worst thing that he has ever done as president. Because that was done by, some people say, well, I say conspiracy theorist says that was done by a shadow government.
Well, okay, look at the evidence of whether or not it was a shadow government or another government, U.S. government specific, right? Mm-hmm. Like you got to look at the evidence and kind of see it for what it is. It's like if what they're saying, if what they want you to believe is the U.S. government had a covert mission to, go in there and do something for the people. Right, and then you realize the president, the leader of the army, had no idea about it.
Right,
it tells you that somebody feel free enough to make things happen on this planet higher than the president, and they don't feel no no way about the president knowing that they did it without his opinion, without his approval. That's what that is. Because essentially, that's a crime to go and start a international war between countries, and you're a U.S. citizen. Like, that's a crime. But these people are not committing crimes. You know why? Because they're higher than the government. Like, so it's like, that's what I'm saying. You got to look at the evidence of that event to know, oh, well, you know, what
the quantum love metaphysician. Hold on one second. Hold on one second, Lola. Hold on. Vagoda, if you want to come back up, you can come back up. Nobody discriminating you against you or nothing.
I know he'll be back
up. But when we're talking, M3 chill, man. When we talking, you gotta mute yourself, all right? You gotta mute yourself, brother, okay? All right. Also,
I think Vagoda got a lag too.
Yeah,
we did have a lag as well.
He does have a lag.
Brother Rush, if you want to chime in on anything, bro, go ahead, man. Go ahead. I know you've been on mute for a minute, so go ahead.
Yeah. I just didn't want to be rude and interject. You know what I mean? But a lot of things that this lady's talking about, it's official. You know what I mean? I just think she's just speaking from the the government aspect of things. You know what I mean? I think the people that run these, I think there's only a few amount of families that run this world, and they dictate what certain things happen in this world. You know what I mean? Some would say they're not even human. You know what I mean? And that's just one of those superficial theories that people be talking about that most people don't believe. You know what I mean?
Well,
I can say something for a second.
You can.
I don't think it's polite to say to the owner of this channel to kick him out, and stuff. And I didn't do anything.
When I'm speaking, you're supposed to be muted up.
You also spoke when I spoke. So, and I just reacted to what somebody said. You don't. What?
Vagoda. I'm not here to have a debate about that, okay?
Well, she's the one that screamed to kick me out.
Let me finish.
What?
Let me finish. Okay? If you felt offended by anything, I apologize. We're not trying to offend you. We're just trying to have a sense of decorum so everybody's able to speak and we're able to hear everybody's point. If you felt cut off, I apologize. You know what I'm saying? Let's move on. You know what I mean? Let's move on.
Let me say something real quick before anybody else says anything, right?
Okay, we'll wait a minute.
Yeah, hold on for a second, right? All right, so here's the thing. People in the chat, people in the panel, okay? It's simple as this. Rules are rules, okay? Yes, in this stream, right, Mr. Best is the primary owner of his own stream, but Lola is also the host for tonight's show. So the host, and people may think it's unfair, but those are the rules. The host may cut you off depending on the circumstances, and sometimes there are lag issues, and the host has to tell you to please be quiet. But once the host mutes you, don't be in your feelings. You're muted for a reason, so everyone could be heard of who is speaking to who. So, but if you're unmuting yourself and you're still talking while the host is talking, the host does have his or her right to put you in the backstage or kick you out. In this case, he was not kicked out, Vagoda. You was just put in the backstage temporarily because Lola needed to finish her point. So hopefully everybody get that.
And not to take away from what you're saying, but we both are hosting this, you know what I'm saying? We both are owners of this channel, you know what I mean? Along with M3, M3 is definitely,
Well, she said kick him out after I shut myself off. And
I get you, bro. Like I said, I'm telling you,
okay, I got it.
As a spearhead of the channel, you know what I mean? I apologize. Let's move on. I really want to move on.
Okay, let's move on.
All right, cool.
Okay, so, Vaughn, to your point, right? Well, okay, I'm sorry, not Vaughn. To Rush, to your point about what's known as the reptilians, right? Now, I will say to you that I'm not particularly a fan of calling them that, right? Only because it's too specific, and I know that this situation can be broader than what we might understand. So from what I understand, when people talk about the reptilians, right, they're talking about a race of people just like me and you that look like me and you, but they're not human. That's what I understand.
Well, let me interject real quick. The reptilian race have the ability to shapeshift into a humanoid, but they're not humanoid. They actually look like reptilians. Genesis, the book of Genesis in your Bible actually expounds on that. Now, like how it expounds on Eve politicking with serpent, right? It in the scriptures it says it uses the word beguile. Now, when you look up the word beguile means to seduce. So why would they use that word seduce? Because the serpent smashed Eve. Know what I mean? Now,
shit.
When Eve bore this child was half reptilian, it had a humanoid about it. So
it was called a Nephilim.
To be the first Nephilim, know what I mean? And that's where the reptilian race stems from.
Nephilim is from the Hebrew word fallen.
Jay Takashi, we talking about basically what's the Black Flags? You got to come in and join, man. All right. See, here's the thing. Here's the thing about the Black Flags. All right. When we on here, we don't really tell you what the topic's about. We kind of want you just to jump in and kind of, it's a ride. It's an adventure. All right. We're taking you on a great adventure. No pun intended to the real great adventure. We're taking you to the great adventure. You know what I'm saying? So come in. You know what I mean? And definitely be surprised and be enlightened and be entertained. There's a little bit of all that.
Even though Wally already spoiled it.
Wally gave it away, but whatever, Wally. But yeah, it's all good. Thank you for giving him the short version, Wally. Thank you for giving the short version.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just I want to say to the guy with the blue hat is that the word Nephilim is from the word fallen in Hebrew. If you mention the Nephilim from the Bible.
The fallen.
Yeah, the one that fall down.
Ones, which means that the sons of God
supposed to be, according to Hebrew mythology, supposed to be giants.
Go ahead, Rush. Go ahead.
I said he do have a delay.
You got a delay, Rush.
I told you.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Yeah. The word Nephilim means the fallen one. I mean, they chose this specific word for the okay. Not only that happened with the serpent with Shorty and Eve or whatever, but when you read further down Genesis, it there's only a small clip that they expound on this when the sons of God copulated with the daughters of man. Now, when the sons of God copulated with the sons of man copulated with the daughters of man, right? With the daughters of man, they would bear these bloodthirsty giants, which means they were Nephilim. But not all of them came out as giants. Some of them had like big heads. Some of them came out like crazy looking. But these are the things. These are the things that the Book of Enoch really expounds on and give you great details on that. Because a lot of these books, a lot of these books didn't make it on these in the great book. You know what I mean? You got the Book of Maccabee, you got the Book of Jubilee, you got the Book of Enoch. A lot of these things expounds on what Shorty's talking about. But she's just speaking on it from a government aspect of it. But all these heads that I'm talking about, they run the government. They tell what the government do. Because
Rush, remember the colonizer and oppressor, he didn't want us to know these things. You know what I'm saying? He been trying to hide this for so long.
They don't want us to know these things because they don't want us to know the true identity of the Israelites, which is us. You know what I mean? Some people may not believe it.
Shout out to Kyrie.
I was supposed to interview that dude Ronald Dalton, man. I'm still trying to make that happen. I gotta reschedule that joint. I mean, but man, pretty much.
Yeah, I gotta welcome my brother Jay Takashi real quick. Before I let Lola build, this is my thing, right? At the end of the day, and there's a movie that came out in the 70s where it was this woman. She had like the devil child, and the devil child came out like kind of half human, half like kind of like monster, whatever. It was a movie, but a lot of that is real. So my question is this, right? So is the devil, which is Satan, is he part of the fallen? Is he half man, half reptile, or is he
Nah.
God?
Man, I hope I'm not confusing y'all when I'm talking about.
No, talk to me, dog. I'm here.
Like, yo, the type of angel Satan is, yo, he's an angel of Sephram. You know what I mean? The word of Sephram means like on fire only. You know what I mean? That's why he got the nickname the all-star light type joint, whatever. But anyway, like he's a full-blooded like angel. You know what I mean? He's not he's not a Nephilim. A Nephilim is when an angel come down, right, and he smashes a humanoid.
Mm-hmm.
And that humanoid bears a child, and that child is considered to be a Nephilim, which is half man, half demon.
Or okay.
The men down.
AKA the Antichrist.
Things, I mean.
Hey.
Woo, there was a movie about that too. Remember that?
I got a question, Mr.
Go ahead,
Best.
Jay. Go ahead. I'm here with you, baby. Let's talk to me. I'm here.
Listen. Are y'all just talking about random conspiracies and stuff, or what? What are y'all doing?
Blame Lola because she doesn't want to entertain it.
We are here with everything, man. We with the conspiracy, we with all that shit, man.
Jay, let me explain something to you, Jay. Right? This is why I operate the way that I operate. What we're talking about is something above all governments, right? But when people come into the chat, when people come up on stage and they want to talk about other stuff, what it does is for listeners, it confuses them, and they're like, "Well, what are you guys talking about? Conspiracy?" I'm not talking about no conspiracy. Between me and Mr. Best, we started the stream out by giving examples of what we believe proves that there's a shadow government above all governments. And I use JFK as an example and his death to show that he didn't get assassinated for what people think he got assassinated for. And I mean, I got stuff on my screen I could just kind of like share, but he knows, and everybody, if you look it up, that what he got assassinated for happened 10 days before. Like 10 days before he got assassinated, he did some stuff that it basically got him canceled, but people wasn't aware.
To be fair though, some people will contextualize that or categorize that as conspiracy.
You can say conspiracy, but it literally said Lancer needs to get wet. That's not a conspiracy. It has been documented.
This is really the Black Files. This is what they be doing on X Files. This is really the Black Files in here.
I was about to say this is the X Files as far as I'm concerned. What y'all talking about? I'm hearing like
the Black Files. It's the black version. It's the black version. It's the black version, baby. Don't get it confused. The black version.
Hey, that's a good question, Marcus, in the chat.
Hey man, are you out there solving cases?
I know.
I am.
You can't be the black version.
I wouldn't be surprised then if it was his own people who did it to him. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I get Men in Black vibes from this.
What do you mean his own people did it to Kennedy? Who do you referring it to?
I'm only saying that because like Lola and Mr. Best have made a good point too. Because like a lot of times they give you the people you're closest to that they want to, send a certain message to make sure that a certain agenda gets filled out, and like that's the domino effect in it, right? So like CIA gets involved in certain things, and if they want to, what's the matter saying, take care of something, they'll hire people that are in certain backgrounds, that are certain rough areas, to take care of it for them, because the CIA doesn't have to answer to anybody.
Right.
The CIA is its own government body in itself, its own entity. They don't have to answer to FBI. They don't have to answer to DOJ. They don't have to answer to Department of Homeland Security. They are literally have their own right to do whatever they want, as long as it's for a bigger so-called cause or mission, whatever they want to say it. So, so we will never. I mean, I'm more on the boat with Mr. Best and Lola and a lot of things on these, because like we heard of Barry Seal, what happened to him? Barry Seal got taken out in its own country in Louisiana. And they were saying it had to do with Escobar. They were saying it had to do with, Uncle Sam. To me, it was a collective. I think they all had a pain. Just like when Kike Camarena was tortured and taken out. And he was tortured for almost 36 hours. And it was because he found out about things about the Iran Contra affair when he was a DEA agent just trying to stop narcotics. But when he was about to uncover the actual truth of what was going on with the Sandinista government, the Contras, and it was going to expose the BS that was the war on drugs. But in reality, it was the governments that were trying to help and stop a communist war over there with the Iran Contra affair and Nicaraguans and Sandinistas.
Is he the book? Is he do that he was in Area 51? He wrote that book, like Behold the Pale Horse, some shit like that. Is that the same dude?
No, that's I think that's Bob Lazar, or not, that's somebody else.
And he was killed too. He was killed too.
Yeah, he was. He was.
Talk about that reporter, Marcus. What was his last name? Webb?
Oh no, you're talking about Gary Webb from
Yeah.
He wrote the book on the Dark Alliance.
Yeah.
So
Was he
that
killed
was
too?
other stuff too.
Yeah, he was
But,
killed.
well, hold on.
Damn.
The autopsy said he committed self-deletion. But
Right.
how can you self-delete yourself when there's 2 gunshots to your head?
Right.
Make that make sense.
Right. Yeah.
How do you shoot yourself
Hey.
twice in the head?
I'm glad we going here.
But-
Here
but-
because
That's the point.
But
Yeah.
that's proof that if the people that are reporting to you on your news channel is telling you that the government decided that they found out what happened, and the government is telling you that he self-deleted twice in his own head, and they're the people that are supposed to be the experts at how things happen, that tells you that, one, they think you stupid as all outdoors. 2, they're going out their way to cover up something, and all you got to do is just dig into that man's life or that person's life to understand what it was. But again, we're talking about something that is above like your general run-of-the-mill type of government.
Those are the real Zodiac killers over there. Zodiac. killers.
But hold on, Lola. I'm glad you said that because it's like the Kurt Cobain theory, right? I'm gonna go celebrities real quick. I'm only tapping on celebrities for a little bit because I really want to go in, but it may be a part 2 because we probably gonna get blacked out. But here's my thing. But here's the thing, right? Hopefully James Takashi comes back. Here's the thing, right? At the end of the day, right? With Kurt Cobain, right? They said he took enough. I think it was heroin, right? Enough that would basically be able to tranquilize a horse, right? So how could you take that enough heroin to tranquilize a horse and be able to take a shotgun and shoot yourself? It's not possible. It's not possible. You wouldn't be able to do that. You wouldn't have the motor skills to do that.
What was his angle? Like, what was he into that they would want to cover that up?
I think with him, he didn't want to be controlled by the industry. He just wanted to make music, and he didn't want to kind of be in the spotlight. He kind of wanted to be like a John Lennon somewhat, and he got the John Lennon treatment. Got clapped.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So anytime you deviate and you don't want to be a part of it, and you kind of want to be solo, or you don't want to be signed to a deal or whatever. And we're gonna get into the celebrity thing a little bit more. I might drop some videos in a few minutes, but you know what I mean? When you kind of move from that, right? Because remember, you signed a contract. You can't. It's a contract, right? It's a contract, and you can't break it. You know what I mean? And it's for life.
Hey,
You know what I mean? So
Marcus.
once you make that agreement, it's a wrap.
Right. Hey, Marcus. Do you remember? Because this is still on the topic as what Lola and Beth.
My bad, Lola. I just sent you that message. My fault.
Do you remember? It was a general years ago.
I made a mistake.
A general years ago who spoke in front of Congress right before the Vietnam War, that he was approached by a government. Well, what we're talking about, to take over the United States. He had 500 troops. They were saying that he had 500 troops at his hand, and one of the people that he spoke was J.P. Morgan. It was somebody else, but they was about to take over the government when Franklin Roosevelt was in office. He spoke in front of Congress.
This was the 70s or 80s?
This was right before the Vietnam War, because he was against going into the Vietnam War because he discussed how he was used. Matter of fact, they portrayed his character in Forrest Gump, how he was used to go around to other governments and take over the government. One of them was Panama, because we controlled Panama Canal for like 99 years. We just gave it back to Panama.
Correct.
I think his last name was something Berkeley, but he discussed right in front of Congress how he was used to go to other governments, especially over there in Latin America. With
did he look Hispanic or was he white?
He was white. He was white, and he how these corporations, some of his corporations, how they pushed him to go into other governments, take it over, so they can take the interest and control the interest, like Dole Foods and what's the other big time company that's in Latin America. But he spoke about that in front of Congress and how he was approached to take over the United States, to overtake the United States government.
I'm trying to remember because there's only a couple guys I know that were actually questioned and their cases were brought up. Some were dismissed and some were convicted. But I remember like Felix Rodriguez, but he was actually known as Max Gomez. And he was the guy.
This guy. This
you talking about Oliver North?
No, that Oliver North. He did. I remember him speaking and what he did as far as the Contra.
Ollie North, baby.
And
yeah.
Contra.
Yeah, the guns he was so. But this guy was approached. It's a book out about him too. Also, let me look at it. If you Google the guy that spoke in front of Congress about taking over the government, he was approached by taking over the United States.
Well, okay. Let me ask you this, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, so the idea is he's being approached to do something. I think it goes back to what Marcus said in that there's certain factions, right, that they don't want to be visible. Like they have no need to be visible. However, they can hire out a gun if they want to do their dirty work. And so it sounds like what you're saying is there's another entity, okay, that is telling him, well, we want you to take over something. Now, mind you, the entity that's giving him the power to take over something is over him, okay? So he's not really taking over something. They're using him to do something as obviously as the hand of whatever they have going on. So I think it goes back to if a group of people or individual approach you to do something as monumental as take over a first world country like the U.S., you have to understand the power that they hold and why they need to stay covert. And I think it might have something to do with to a degree, because I don't have proof, but to a degree, I think it might have something to do with what Rush was talking about, in that there's let's say individuals in the government that aren't necessarily, of the fourth kind, if you know what I mean. They're just not, and they hold power because their power base is older than any government that we understand. For instance, the oldest government we know might be between Egypt and Mesopotamia. That's the oldest governments we know, but that only goes back a couple thousand years BC. However, they might be older than that. So it's like, I think it kind of still trickles back to that fundamental premise that what you're talking about is not the government you think you're talking about, it's something else. And well, with Kurt Cobain, right, I think that's a small example that maybe most people can understand, in that he gets inside of an industry that is multi-layered, and he basically says, I want to benefit from being associated with you, but I don't want to be your slave. And the contract is you be a slave and then you get rich. There's nothing else there. So if you want to do stuff like, for instance, what Michael Jackson and what Bill Cosby and them wanted to do, and basically run the game yourself, and you want to take that little out and stuff, they're going to make sure that you do not do that. Now, I noticed, as Mr. Best might attest to, okay, look at Bill Cosby. He's lucky he's still breathing, okay? He's stuck, and I know he got set up based on something else. It ain't one of those women that set him up. Somebody else set that up for him. But because
I don't want to be. I don't mean to cut you.
His son came up. Deleted behind some stuff, political stuff that he was into, and then this happens to him. Same thing with Michael. And
Right.
I'll be honest with you, and Mr. Best, we talked about this offline. I got. Now this is a conspiracy, but I got a conspiracy belief that a certain senator, okay, from my city, okay, Ron, came up deleted behind a statement that he made to a sitting president that put him at odds with a certain entity in the government, if you know what I mean. Yeah, I think that right there had. I think that's why he ain't in the land of the living anymore. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, the general I was talking about, Marcus, his name was Smedley Butler. 1930. He was approached to take over the president. It was the government. Roosevelt was in office.
Mhm.
Smedley Butler, General Smedley
Oh,
Butler.
okay.
That was
Okay.
between 1945 and 1953. You sure?
1930s, he was approached.
Okay.
I think he spoke in front of Congress around that time, what you're talking about.
Okay.
I wanted to build after what Lola was saying, because it was a little over 5 years ago where it was two musicians that committed self-deletion the exact same way. One of them was Chris Cornell, the other was Chester Bennington. Anybody who knows who Chester Bennington was, he was from Linkin Park, and then if Chris Cornell was from Audio Slave and Soundgarden, both rock bands. But what they were going to do was whistleblow and uncover the truth about child trafficking, sex trafficking, all the stuff that was happening, along maybe with Epstein and stuff like that, allegedly.
Mm-hmm.
So it was just such a coincidence that they both commit self-deletion the same way by hanging. And they were just okay the night before when they were laughing, having a good time with their loved ones. And then all of a sudden, they found no fingerprints of them on the rope that they used. There was no fingerprints that they used on their own body. So it had to be somebody else involved there. And that was such a coincidence because they were going to uncover certain truths. And I'm pretty sure other people that have tried to do the same thing maybe have gone silenced, blacklisted, maybe canceled. Maybe they can't really do certain things anymore. That's why they left out of the spotlight. But that's just an example. And it's been over 5 years since both of them committed self-deletion, both within 2 or 3 months apart from each other. And it's such a shame because they were covering a lot of dark stuff that we're talking here right now. And all these elites, all these people that, I do believe in all that stuff too, because it is true. Like Bohemian Grove, you go to other countries, they have a very dark thing with the Vatican too. They have Scientologists, etc.
I don't think Scientology has nothing to do with the Vatican, but I want to react to something that the lady here said. I think that she meant the first government. She said she meant the first civilizations in the Fertile Crescent area in the Middle East, if that would be accurate. Just saying.
What's your point?
No, you said something about the first government were from Egypt and Mesopotamia or something, and that's I think what you try to meant is the first civilizations that were existed in the Fertile Crescent.
The point was not.
I'm not too sure what you mean, but you probably talking about.
I mean the geographic area.
You probably talking about the royal bloodline. I didn't expound on that.
No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about she talked about the first governments ever in Egypt and Mesopotamia or something. That's what she said, if I'm mistaken. And she probably meant the first civilizations in the area of the Fertile Crescent in the Middle East.
I wasn't drawing a distinction between civilization and government, because at the end of the day, to have a civilization, there has to be some form of government. So that's why I didn't draw no specific.
Not precisely. You can have even in a small village, you can have a so-called chief or something as a so-called government.
Right. So when I said that the longest running government that we know of as in our history is between the Egyptian government and the Mesopotamian governments, or
the Sumerians, you mean?
Yes, that's the one that we know about, and that's not that old. It's not that old, and those are the only ones that we know about. Those are the oldest we know, and they're not really that old. So the point was,
they are.
point
You think about it.
is not. Trust me, I've studied anthropology. The last 10,000 years is not a lot of time in terms of time. Okay. The point was not how old they were. The point is, we may think that the black government that we're talking about came into existence when our governments came into existence. However, the truth may be that it's older than what we understand through our own historical lens. So we may think that, well, okay, governments kind of sort of started around, 7,000 BC, but that could be vastly inaccurate, and it could have been started way before that. In fact, there's more evidence that it was way before that when you start getting into archaeology. So, I don't draw distinctions where I don't need to draw distinctions. So don't get lost in the terminology if you go to
Okay.
like civilization.
I also took a course in archaeology, just saying. But,
Yeah,
okay.
it's like don't get lost in the terminology. I'm fully aware that civilization and government go hand in hand. That's why they're there. But that wasn't the point there. The point was just for you to understand that this black government is most likely older than any government that we have on record.
Yeah, but probably the black government that you had in those times is not a continuation of the black government, according to that you have in the USA.
I'm not drawing a distinction between the two. It could be, it could not be, it could be something totally different. It could be a whole nother one. I have no idea. However, I think, okay, and me and Mr. Best will kind of like expound on this in further lives, but I think there's more evidence that this black government has been meddling in government lives like for a long time, and it is recorded. However, the interpretation of these texts have been heavily redacted and religiousized so that you don't see this black government. You make it seems like it's just a story about something random that you don't really understand. But in reality, when you put actual words to it that mean what these words are actually conveying, this black government is clearly been around and still is around and has the same agenda. But it's like you will never know that based on just hoping that they become visible, because the point is not to be visible.
Okay, actually, if you think about the organizations and bodies that could be in certain countries, the black government, one of the bodies that I think about is for example, the Muslim Brotherhood in Egypt. They could be the so-called black government, or they also have power in Turkey, so that could be a real candidate for a black government.
I think factions like that are tools of this black government. I don't believe
they are way bigger than tools.
No, I'm not saying how hard the tool can be. I'm not making a distinction on that. What I'm saying is, just like the mafia in Italy, they are a tool of a government that's higher than them. Like I grew up in Orthodox Islam, so I'm fully aware of those sorts of groups. But there is. Are
you Shia or Sunni, if I may ask?
I grew up Sunni.
Okay.
So I mean, I believe that they are there. That is true. They are there. However, and they are powerful. However, they answer to someone else as well, and they are a tool of a higher government. Because look at what we're saying tonight. If you can name them from other people and specifically name them as a group, that's not the people we're talking about tonight.
Let me ask you a question, Lola. Right? Knowing what you know about people who possibly get deleted from knowing the truth, right? Would you ever consider becoming a socialite? Not a politician, because to become a politician means you got to take an oath, right? You got to betray the moral code. But would you become a socialite in order to help the people, or do you feel like you kind of already there in some aspects?
I feel like I'm already there in many respects. I would never become something that is overtly like a position, right, in society where my job is to quote unquote out any government or any government officials. Like I would never take that on, because because like I said in the beginning, this is bigger than the U.S. It's bigger than the issues between the U.S. and China and Russia. It's bigger than that. So there's nothing that I'm going to do in terms of telling people that cannot defend themselves what the truth is, and really look at it the way that I'm really saying it. The U.S. population, right, is protected, and they depend on this government, the lower level government, not even the bigger government. They depend on that. Let the U.S. government go down for 24 hours in terms of our military, our Navy, our naval force, and Homeland Security. People in the U.S. would understand what a real war is, and Pearl Harbor would be real live every day. So it's like, listen, the U.S. population is not in a position to say, well, if you tell the poor people of America what's really going on, that's going to change something. It will not. And it's like, you have to be clear on why you need people to know the truth. Why do you need people to know that, well, certain factions exist? Why do you need people to know that? How is that going to help them? What can they do about it? Because here's the thing. If you tell me, right, that there's a higher power that's causing food to grow on this planet, it ain't like I want that to stop. Okay, like, all right, that's fucked up. But I don't want my food to stop growing. That's what I'm saying. Like, I'm not fitting to go hungry because, oh my God, there's a.
Well, yo, you know, the government, they got a plan to try to create this food shortage, because it's like, yo, the farms in Michigan, Detroit, Michigan, whatever, they shutting down all their farms. It's illegal for them to even start growing food out there now. You know what I mean? So, the government's figuring out a way to, shut down all the farms so that we can just rely on the government so they can have more control over us when it comes to that food. You know what I mean?
I know what you're talking about, but I feel personally, right, that has deeper implications, meaning this. There's certain farms that are sanctioned to operate because they agree to all government policies, right? No matter what they use, they agree to it. There's other farms that don't necessarily agree to it, and these are the farms that struggle the most. So when you have farmers that are not conceding to certain governmental entities and policies, sure, they're gonna get shut down because they're not cooperating. I'll be honest.
What about the Patriot Act?
Here's the thing: you can make as many acts as you want to. This black government doing what it wants to do.
Let me explain something to y'all. And Rush, it's to kind of speak to the point. I think Lola's pointing this out. The nightmare is already here, people. Okay, right. There is no nightmare coming. Right. There is no big thing coming. You're already in it. Okay, I just want y'all to know that. Okay, that whole food shortage or even Walking Dead zombie type shit, all this other shit that y'all thinking about. No, you're already in the danger zone already. You were born into it. Don't you get that? Don't you understand that? A lot of people say, "Oh, when is the end gonna come?" You're already in the end, and you're also in the beginning as well. You're in both. Both are true at the same time. You know what I mean? Now, M3 gonna love this because we did a show about the multiverse and the metaverse being connected, and y'all did not pay attention.
I didn't see it.
Y'all, we've been talking about this for a long time. Y'all didn't pay attention. You know what I'm saying? This was like before we went on our break. Y'all didn't pay attention.
Don't worry, I'll pull it up.
Okay.
Yeah, he gonna pull it up. Y'all didn't pay attention. We've been trying to tell y'all this for a long time. About
hold on. So wait a minute. Y'all was expounding on the multiverse theory
and the metaverse. The multiverse and the metaverse is connected.
It's connected.
Yeah, that whole Marvel thing, and then also with the whole thing with the galaxy thing they want you to put on your eye or the PS View or whatever they got now. You know what I mean?
You talking about the Oculus?
Connected. The Oculus, all that's connected, man. They want you to plug in. You know what I'm saying? And the metaverse is connected too. Or the multiverse, whatever. The Marvel thing, when they talk about the multiverse, even DC talks about it too, how there's different dimensions and all that. This is all real. This is not fake. Y'all think I'm just watching a movie. Y'all not watching a movie. Y'all watching real life.
But to be fair, Mr. Best, people were talking about this for the past several years and decades too, though.
Yeah,
I know. But now it's here. It's here. You seeing it now. Unless you blind, can you see it? Can you see the correlation? You know what I'm saying? It's not fake.
You gotta open your eyes. You gotta pay attention.
You
know what I mean? I know
know,
they've been
you
talking-
remember who was the one guy back in the day, H.P. Lovecraft? They were always talking about. They were saying that he was doing stuff like that, like rituals and stuff to open like portals and dimensions and stuff.
Yo, it's
Yeah, you
funny
can
you
do that.
say rituals because those like I don't know if you ever heard of the Collider or whatever, but the nuclear physicists, dudes that work there, they was practicing the ritual within there too. Matter of fact, they got the statue of Sheba, which is the god of destruction, and they kind of go about they kind of go about that. You know what I mean? About that. You know what I mean? Like they trying to unravel the Pandora's box. You know what I mean? I don't know if you guys ever heard of antimatter, but a lot of shit that they be popping off with the Collider disperse a lot of antimatter, which causes, a lot of violence to pop off in certain states. Know what I mean? And it's funny y'all talking about rituals because that's how them scientists be getting down, my nigga.
Yeah, chemtrails and all that.
The hydrogen collider in Switzerland, correct, Rush?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's where they tap into the multiverse and shit like that. Know what I mean? As far as that, you know what I mean? Like I'm not a scientist. I can't break down like what's that shit called? I'm not a physicist, so I can't really, break down that shit. You know what I mean? Like
You ain't no Stephen Hawking, is what you're saying. Ain't no Stephen Hawking.
I ain't catch that, Mark. What you say?
I said you basically ain't no Stephen Hawking, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
I don't know what you mean by that, but
he's talking about.
You know who Stephen Hawking is?
Hold on. What's that? Okay. What's that term that Shorty used of Transformers, which she was trying to explain who they were? It was a term she used to explain who the Transformers were. Oh my god!
Are you talking about the Queen, or are you talking about like one of the government like officials?
No. Transformers, the first movie, right? What is the term? It wasn't nuclear physics. It was God damn it! She used a term. Somebody got to mute themselves, man, because we got a lot of background noise. You know what I'm saying? Like it's a term that Shorty used though, man. Damn, I gotta look up the clip. Fuck. Can't remember.
While you're getting that clip right, to Rush's point about the multiverse and where the rabbit hole goes, I'm gonna tell you this, right? First of all, as it relates to what they're doing in Switzerland, the problem with what they're doing in Switzerland is that it's all experimental over there. Meaning this, we're not even a level 1 planet civilization. We're not even level 1 yet. Yet we're playing with something that could literally, if we don't know what we're dealing with over there. And thus, if something should pop off, right, it could literally like be the destruction of this planet and maybe something else. And I'll be honest with you.
Right.
Certain people, when they get a little bit of information, they always take it to the third degree. They never use it for anything good. They always use it for something that got to do with like all the time. So this is the problem, okay? But this is what's really going on out there in Switzerland, because essentially they say it's for peaceful research.
They're trying to recreate the Big Bang. Like they're trying to figure it out, you know what I mean?
That's what they're doing. But the problem with that is, and I'm not knocking the hustle, but the problem with that is they don't know what they're dealing with and the capabilities of it. Therefore, if anything go wrong, it could literally be the end of that continent, maybe a quarter of the planet, whatever the hell it could be. And this is the only contention I have with what's happening over there. It's like you don't know what you're dealing with, yet you're dealing with something that you clearly know is more dangerous than anything on this planet, including nuclear war.
Did Lola just say Padow?
She said "Pow."
Did you say Padow or Popow?
No, well, I mean, I will agree with you because there's a certain laws against science where you can't do certain things because it's not allowed. I know, like alchemy is something that's been frowned upon because it's like, I don't know if you've seen that stuff before, videos on YouTube where they try to inject human sperm into like animal eggs, and it makes like a crossbreed, like hybrid. I can't remember the name for what they're called, but when they hatch, they can hatch in different forms, and it comes out when you're taking care of it, when you're nesting it, and it hatches. Sometimes you don't know what you're gonna get, but it's like some grotesque mutated thing, and it's so disturbing. It's so weird because you're tampering with against the laws of physics and nature.
Right.
You see? Can you send me that information, Marcus? Or you don't know?
You know, I heard that some scientists in the 50s tried to to pregnate a woman with a sperm from a gorilla or a chimpanzee or something.
You're supposed to let governments want the next big weapon.
Wow. Wow.
That's at least from what I know. Who knows? Maybe some crazy person in China or Russia or in some other countries doing some crazy experiments like this. Who knows?
I mean, they're experimenting because it has deeper implications in terms of what they can do with it. For instance, when China was experimenting with
Yo, they got me, son. They got me. The government got me, yo. They're after me.
Just stop. When China was experimenting with that, what you call it, those cloaks that where light passes over it and it looks like you're seeing straight through it. When basically that technology can be utilized in war, so that you become basically a stealth operating force within a convoy. So it's like even though it might seem like, okay, they're just messing around, at the end of the day, whenever they find something, the first thing they want to do is make sure they can use it in terms of their national security. Second, they want to use it in terms of world security and domination. And now you're talking about people putting warheads in outer space. And now you got to actually pay a tax out of space. And I'm like, who is you paying out of tax? But at the end of the day, this is what's happening. And people don't know. People don't know the outer space of this planet is owned. Like you got to pay a tax to be out there floating around.
You can literally buy a star. You have like a certificate. You can buy a star.
People are buying
Good luck with that.
And stuff. And it goes real far. But again, now you're talking about something that's beyond 1 or 2 or 30,000 governments. Like
because you know why that's happening, Lola? Because it's the coming of the, I don't want to say the second coming of Christ, but it's the coming of the higher beings.
But okay,
they're trying to protect. Yeah, they're trying to protect the planet from these beings because they want ownership of the planet, and the higher beings. It's going to be a war. Basically, it's going to be a war. It's going to be a war like we ain't never seen before.
Here's the thing, right? I feel that some people feel that the Bible was prophecy about what is to come. However, there's enough evidence to at least question maybe the Bible is telling you about what happened already. Maybe. To some degree.
I always say, hold on, Vagoda. I always say maybe this is not the end, maybe this is just the beginning.
Correct.
Everybody's talking about the end.
Could be the beginning of something else. Could be.
I have a question for Lola. When you say the Bible, you mean the New Testament or the Old Testament?
I don't distinguish.
That is a good question.
The Bible, whatever Bible you're talking about, like whatever translation you mean. Because you can distinguish between Bibles, but I try not to do that when I'm speaking generally. Like I don't distinguish between Bibles. I don't.
Okay. You have a lot of versions of the New Testament, and that's before we talk about translations of it. So a lot of stuff to talk about it.
I mean, most versions of the Bible have the Book of Revelations in it. I do understand that it's a popular canon, but again, it's like there's other canons that say the same thing, right? But it's no need to mention these other canons when you're talking about just biblical information. There's no need to specifically single out a specific canon because that's besides the point. But let me ask you a question, right? You seem like you like details, right? How do these details help you in terms of understanding what reality is around you?
I don't think, but the reality that I have every day, if somebody wants to talk, like, for example, you talked about the Bible, so if I want to know about what exactly that you mean when you say the Bible, then that's why I want to know about the details. It's like You told me I love to read books. What kind of books you like to read? It doesn't tell me too much. You can love horror books. You can love books about drama. You can love, excuse my language, porn books, or you get what I'm saying. It doesn't tell me a lot if you just say I love books.
Well, the question is, how does that help you in terms of the detail? Not so much just the fact.
I said it's helped me to get to the details because it gave me more information and about what you are talking about. And what they say, information is power.
How do the details help you?
Because it's helped me understand about what you're talking about.
So the details of what canon has the book of Revelation and what specific translation of that book specifically helps you understand what we're talking about right now?
No, but I love to talk about details, and I don't know what is the book of Revelation. I just know the original version of it.
The book of Revelation is basically a prophetic divine revelation, which means, like the word revelation itself means to be revealed. So, the last book is considered to be a prophetic thing. Now, are we living on the times of the last book? Nah, not yet. You know what I'm saying? Because when you read Revelation, it expounds on the Antichrist and the mark of the beast, which I think we're headed towards rapidly. You know what I mean?
Okay.
But that's just my thoughts.
I want to answer the
that's
lady.
Just my thoughts. You know what I mean?
The different version, different translation gave you different information. So, that's
right. So my question to you is about the information and how it helps you in understanding what we're talking about, because right now we're not talking about anything specific in the book, not specific in the book. Someone mentioned about, a prophetic war to come, but that is not just found in the book of Revelation. It's found in other books outside of the Christian, like religion.
Okay.
However, I wanted to understand from you, how does you bringing up that information help you understand what we're talking about right now?
Okay, when you said the Bible, I asked you if it's the Old or New Testament because basically those are two different books. Okay? And if you are using just one of them, when people say the Bible, some of them mean just the New Testament, some of them mean just the Old Testament. Some of them in the USA specifically, in some places, mean only the Mormon religion, and when people say Bible, they mean different things.
Okay. So, let me say this to you, Big Older, right? There's a certain way that we talk on this platform that might be a little culturally based, but one thing I don't do is convolute information. I like to keep the jar of cookies where everybody can reach it. So this is why I can roll with you when it comes to details, and everybody on this panel know how steep I can get into details when it comes to biblical scholarly information. However, I don't entertain that sort of talk on this platform, because what you're doing is trying to simply just show people that and you're educated on something, and it's missing.
No.
It just is missing the point. So what you're not going to hear me do is sit here and make distinctions on what canon is correct, because at the end of the day, this is not a religious channel. It's not.
Okay. I'm not talking about religious. I just ask you about what do you mean.
Okay. When I'm talking, this is the third time you've been told that you have to mute up. That's the third time, and I'm counting. Okay. I'm not your child, and you're not my child, and I'm not going to keep talking to you like you're my 12-year-old son. All right. What I'm trying to express to you here is this: I will not get on this panel right here and start talking about specifics that mean nothing to the conversation, just to show people that I'm educated and I can talk like that. I don't need people to know that I'm educated. I need people to understand what I'm talking about here. Right now, we were talking about specific things mentioned in a specific book inside of any Bible generally you can find on the street. and everybody knows what we're talking about. Nobody here needs to go into the specific canons that don't include that book and that verse you were talking about, because it has nothing to do with this conversation. So it's not moving the needle. However, I noticed that you want to keep asking me about specifics that have nothing to do with the conversation, that only show that, okay, well, you got a little education and you want people to know you're educated. Now, there's only a certain group of people that I know that need other people to know that they above them in terms of intelligence. And I don't know if you of that group, but one thing you're not going to do here is kind of pseudo dry snitch and do that. Like, you're not going to do that here. All right. So if you're asking about specifics, right, that specific thing that you asked about needs to be about what we're talking about. Because I don't.
You said pseudo what?
Okay, if you can't understand what I'm saying, right, just ask a question when I'm finished.
Okay.
But one thing you're not going to do is overextend specifics to convolute the conversation so people can feel like they don't know what's happening because they haven't gotten a PhD. I don't do that here. I keep the jar cookies where everybody is at. If you want to go one-on-one with me on specifics, you can do that on another platform. I actually have a channel where I do research, okay, and I talk about stuff like that, but not on this one, okay? So
okay, I'm not convoluting any. I'm not convoluting anything.
Vagoda. I gotta move on, brother. I gotta move on. I have other
okay, I'm just answering to the lady. I'm not or whatever you said it is. I just asked a question, you answer me, that's okay.
I hear you, brother. I hear you. I gotta move on though. Daryl Long.
Because I'm going to sleep, so bye. It's 2 in the morning here.
All right, brother. Daryl Long, welcome to the panel.
What's up?
You know what I'm saying? Family? What's going on, man? Anything you want to share on the topic, man? Because I know you've been watching. What's going on?
I want to say, Miss O'Shawn, you look beautiful today. I love your hair.
Hey, don't start with that shit today, all right, man? All right, come on, man.
You gotta be careful, Daryl. That's Ali's girl right there.
Oh, you Ali girl?
Yo, Marcus, you gotta get the boot next.
Hey, man, I'll gladly divest. I'll gladly divest. Hey, where Ali at? Where's Ali at?
If you have a man, I am not trying to dirty Mac. As a matter of fact, I'm celibate. I belong to God. Yeah.
No,
okay, we're not asking you to lie now, okay?
He just foolish. Don't worry about
what's going on, man. Tell us what you're thinking, brother. Tell us what you're thinking.
I ain't gonna lie to y'all, B. I came on here to try to get M3 to hop on Fortnite. I've been smoking and everything. When I hopped on, I was working out. I don't even got no shirt on. I'm chilling. I look good too. But listen. We was talking about religion, right?
To a degree, when Vagoda brought it up. To a degree.
Yeah, I heard. Yeah, when I hear religion, I tap out. Cause
I know, right? I know.
We had that conversation earlier, and the blacks in America, they don't take Christianity serious, right? That's why they complain about submission every single day. When they don't even submit to God formally. The hypocrisy is just ridiculous. But what I would say
the conversation basically was on
thank you, baby.
Like people in the spotlight, mainly politicians and celebrities who speak the truth, but then they get they basically get deleted. You know what I mean? They get deleted. So yeah, so sometimes they say it's self-deletion, sometimes they say something else. Salute the Bolo TV, my man.
That's what I would say to that, Dan. Best. We were talking about earlier, like people, like there's no real retribution for that. Somebody can take out one of our leaders. What's the retribution for it? Right. This is why I hate when people act like because of certain elements, whether it's good or bad, these elements exist. If Big Meech get out of jail next week and somebody shoot him, it's gonna be all hell. And don't let somebody in the hood find him first. It's gonna be raps, bro. And even if they don't find him, somebody else gonna get hurt. Just because of how much people love that man. You get what I'm saying? When our communities, and let's make something clear, right? Because people always think it's about the drugs, right? Shout out to the homie Big White. It's a white dude on there in BMF. They call him Big White. He used to be a shooter, right? His brother got cerebral palsy. He said the reason why he joined BMF because he went everywhere to church, everywhere that he saw money being spent, $1 million churches being built, painted windows, right? Nobody would help his brother out. Meech paid for his house, the care. They got pictures of him going to the club. and me saying, "Okay, none of y'all get into the club until my brother get in first, and y'all got to carry him in there, and y'all got to pay for his bottles, right?" So when you showing love like that, and your blood taken care of, man, that shit is strong, bro. It inspires a level of devotion that these people in these panels don't understand. Because they always say, "What will make these young boys want to risk their life?" The fact that their life is already at risk. Their life is already in peril. And you niggas ain't doing nothing about it. And the people that are, they do something about it, and it inspire a level of devotion that you really don't, they underestimate.
So are you saying that, well, okay, at least what I think what you're explaining is that although these factions that we're talking about tonight exist, right? The issue isn't so much that they exist, but rather if we have created our own internal, let's say, quote unquote government where we exist within the existence of this other government, but this sector of our government that we create is for our security, specifically just for us.
I think we should, right? So before the 80s, when those two young men took over Detroit and Atlanta, the whole fucking country, basically, I always go back to Chairman Fred Hampton. He created something called the Rainbow Coalition, where they end up building small health centers. Yeah, Chairman Fred Hampton, right? Illinois' Black Panther Party. He was funded by the gangsters in the community. I always tell people there was no Patreon at that time, right? No YouTube memberships, no super chats. And the government, they wasn't paying for those different things. They wasn't paying for 3,000 black kids in Chicago to be fed every day. But the gangsters was. Because for one, if people, this whole notion that they only selling dope to their own community, you're a fool. You're a fool to think that lawyers and doctors and everybody else that can afford it not buying it too. You're a fool, right? So they was taking that money and they was putting it in Chairman Fred Hampton's hands. Matter of fact, if you go and you watch the Judas of the Black Messiah, a depiction of Chairman Fred Hampton's life, his last day, they wanted to pay for him to get out of the country. He said, "No. Y'all gonna take that money and y'all gonna build these schools and y'all gonna build these health centers. Is it about me or is it about the people?" Who is it about?
So are you saying that we need to risk our lives in order for things to basically? I want to get a bowl of TV next. We need to risk our lives in order for things to change on a big scale, because what we're essentially talking about is like when you are a public figure, and you are either a politician or you are someone who is a celebrity, you know what I mean? If you are exposing certain things, or you're exposing certain things that, you know, about, you know, the powers that be, as I call them, you know, you are in fact putting yourself in danger. So
let me tell you, I was having this conversation with my neighbor, cool white guy, cool as fuck. I was telling him this. I hate when they advocate for the white guys to go in the most dangerous of the black neighborhoods and clean up those streets. Why y'all can't do it, B? Right? We see, like I said, I haven't been threatened by nobody else more than anybody on YouTube and in these spaces that claimed that they was Christian, right? All of them, right? And I used to always ask them, cool, if y'all hate the drugs, if you hate the people, right, Lola, they hate them people. Why you can't go get them off your block?
Right.
Because I know if I want to go set up a meth shop in the middle of certain neighborhoods, they're not going to have it.
Right.
They're not going to have it. Right? And I know this. I know for a fact in my state, if I go to Dearborn Heights where it's all Arabic men,
oh shit.
If I go, hey baby girl, I got some buffs, I got some weed, I got a bottle of Patron, you trying to fuck?
I know what
just
you
by
talking.
me talking to her like that, it's going to be consequences. There's going to be severe consequences. Not the ones that call the police. They're going to get me together. Right? And they're going to say, we see you in Dearborn again. It's game time. Yeah. And I know this because I went to Henry Ford Community College. I had all type, some of my, like, listen, I had a friend named Zainab. I couldn't even shake her hand.
Correct.
I couldn't even shake her hand.
Right.
So Beth, I'm telling you, like they willing to, because they don't know. I could have came back and say, you know what, cool, y'all about to jump me for this. I'm about to come back and strap y'all down. You know what they would have said? So be it.
Right. Yeah,
So
that's
be
how
it.
they end up there, for real.
It
But
would
you
have
see,
been
Daryl, they operate within the government as their own government in a sense, and
absolutely.
that's the way the Jays operate as well. I know here in where I live at, there's a section of town where it's just them living there, and they have their own security system to which the local police do not come into their neighborhood unless their security team calls for local police. That's how they operate there. They create their own loan system, their own housing
Everything.
system, their own
And
hospitals.
so you know about the
They are
Chaldeans
a
then.
government in and of themselves within the government. Which is,
And so you know about the Chaldeans there as well.
yeah, I've heard. Yeah.
I told
So are
you
you-
time,
so-
you talking about the black culture. It's the last thing I'm gonna say, Best. Nobody
Mhm.
in Michigan pushes more violence and drugs than the Chaldeans, which is basically the Christian Arabics. Nobody, because that's the hypocrisy I hate about them. Listen, this last thing I'm gonna say, Best, and then give it to Bolo. They will literally, Best. I can't come and say nothing to they women. They gonna open up a strip club, fill it with black women, send their kids to college. I'm telling you, it's crazy. And I always challenge my people. I say, cool, let's open up a black-owned strip club and fill it with Arabic women and smack them on their shit and have them in the back, you know what I'm saying, swallowing nut. It won't happen because the men is too afraid to even step on it. Nah, bro. It's gonna come with a lot of violence, bro.
Yeah, that's true.
Bolo.
Hey, good evening, everybody. How y'all doing?
Peace and light, brother. What's going on, brother?
I'm good, brother. I'm good. I came in when y'all was talking about the Bible, baby. That's why I punched in.
Come on in. We here.
I heard y'all talking about that stuff. I came in, then it went left. So, you know.
Come on in.
It went left because the other guy tried to talk over everybody here, trying to get at the details. And here's the thing. I never debate nobody's personal religion, right? Because your experience is meant for you, no matter what religion you fall in. So my thing is, when we were talking about, like me and Mr. Best said, that there's certain aspects of the Bible where it can be debated. It can be debated that these things are projecting a future, or some things are talking about a remote past.
Absolutely.
That's all I said. He wanted to know, well, what canon are you talking about? What religion, what Bible are you talking about? And it's like, it doesn't fucking matter.
But see, that's the problem that people have. The problem that people have is they think the Bible is an intellectual book, and it's not. It's a spiritual book. And there's a difference between the two, right? When you try, there are many atheists that can break down the scriptures. They know the Bible. But the one thing that they're missing is the nuance, that vision from God. They don't have that connection. It's a spiritual book. It's not meant for you to take in and ingest intellectually. It's meant for you to ingest it spiritually. And that's the difference in perspective, and why someone fundamentally will look at something one way and look at it a different way. I can't argue with someone's perspective. You're absolutely right. Your opinion's your opinion. What we can debate on is fact. You know what I'm saying? Fact, truth is truth. It belongs to nobody. Doesn't care about your color, your relationship. Truth is truth. So yeah, there are things in the scriptures, if you're not learned and in that connection spiritually, there are things that could be read one way, but it's understood a different way. For example, a lot of people read John 3:16. For God so loved the world, he gave his only begotten son, that whosoever believeth in him should not die. They think of the circumference of the planet, the whole earth. But when Peter was talking to Christ, he said, should I pray for the world? Christ said, no, do not pray for the world. Pray for those which God has given you. So now either man's contradicting or the Bible contradicts and the Bible don't. Man's understanding contradicts. So now we have to look at the word world and what terminology and what perspective it's being used in. Because the word world has many different definitions, the same as virgin. Virgin can be an island. Virgin can be a woman that is at marriageable age, or virgin can be a woman that has had sex but is at marriageable age. So we have to look at the context in which these words are being used before we just jump the gun. And that comes from a spiritual connection, not an intellectual connection. You use the spiritual connection to delineate the information in an intellectual way. Did that make sense?
I definitely agree with you. I will say that, and it's not really pushback, right? But what I'll add is this: I do believe there's an aspect of all spiritual books, especially the Bible, that are speaking to the higher self, not to anything intellectualized, right? But then I do feel that these books have been utilized as covert ways to hide history as well. So where you may get a spiritual lesson in, let's say, one sector of, let's say, the Bible or the like some of the Indian text, right? Whatever the case may be, there's an aspect of it that isn't necessarily towards the spiritual part. And when you read it, you have to question, well, why is this in the book in the first place? Because it doesn't seem to align with, as you said, that spiritual alignment in terms of knowledge and wisdom there. It seems to have more of a historical overview that people can kind of, talk about or debate over. And I do feel that at some point in history, when it came to how the Bible came together, that the people that came later on lost the point of the purpose of a lot of what they were reading. Okay, so it's like, you have people saying, for instance, right, that the Old Testament has nothing to do with the New Testament. Then you're having people that's saying, well, no, it's a continuation. Then you're saying people that have a whole different idea. The problem, part of the issue is some of that is history, but it's a history that we don't understand because of what you said, Bolo, that we're not really in that, or what you alluded to. We didn't grow up in that time period, in that culture, speaking that language. So when they say a word, right, contextually, we're understanding it in English based on our current day understanding of that English word. And it could literally have a whole nother meaning and be taking us on a whole nother ride. And here it is, we thinking it's one thing and it's something totally different. And this is where interpretation becomes corrupted. And it's nobody's fault. I'm not saying anybody's lying, but this is how information gets spread, and it's not correct. Now later on, me and Mr. Best want to do a stream where we're breaking down a part of the Old Testament based on a theory that we both have, based on what
Quantum, she is.
Okay. Now there's things in the Old Testament that most people don't read because it's kind of incoherent. It doesn't speak to the spirituality that, let's say, the New Testament speaks to majorly, right? So you have to question, well, why is this here then? Because what's the point of religion if it's not about the spiritual man, which drives the physical man? This is something different. And we have to admit, two things can exist at the same time. But I truly believe that there is an aspect of history where history was preserved in a place that people wouldn't look for it, which is religious text. And that religious text is colored with all sorts of words to hide, not necessarily, let's say, mislead people, but hide a truth that only the wise will be able to decipher. And that is the way that it is preserved. I made this argument within the Muslim community that a lot of times when people read the Quran, they're reading it in a very crude way, right? But when I read the Quran, I pick up something totally different. I pick up things that I'm like, listen, I can't even say some of the stuff that's in the Quran because it might get me knocked if you catch my drift, okay? But nobody. So I'm just saying.
Let me say this to you. Let me add this to what you're saying. It's the mindset. It's the mindset, right? When we're here on the Westerner portion of the world, we understand the biblical text from the creature's perspective. The Bible wasn't written for the creature's perspective. It was written from the creator's perspective. I'll give you an example. We hear the word nigger, and automatically people get pissed off, angry, right? Now, right now on my channel, we're reading the Bible, chapter by chapter, book by book. We didn't get to Acts 13 yet, but we are going to get to it. Acts 13:1, the word nigger is in the Bible. People try to say it's written as Niger, but it's not. It's nigger. Now, people try to understand, well, what does that mean? The word nigger means dark.
Say again.
The word nigger means dark.
Okay.
Now, here in the
Well, you're saying something very controversial right now, baby. Well, I'm gonna let you go. Go ahead.
Hold on. I'm gonna read it. I'm in the Webster's dictionary right now. I want you to hear. It says there is a widespread belief that the original meaning of nigger, as defined in dictionaries, was as ignorant person, and related belief that currently dictionary definitions describing its use as hateful, racist epithet are a recent change. They are a recent change. We do not know when the source of those beliefs were put in, but they are not accurate. The word was first included in Merriam-Webster's dictionary in 1864, at which time it was defined as a synonym of Negro. When you read the Hebrew or the Greek, the word nigger in the Bible in Acts 13 would be kadar, which means dark. Now I'm going to continue reading. Negro, with a note indicating that it was used in a derision or depreciation, that it has never been a definition like an ignorant person, for was the word subsequent dictionary published by this company, nor do we know of any such definition in any earlier dictionary. So what it's basically saying is, prior to 1864, it meant Negro, which meant dark. If you go into any other language, negro means dark in Spanish.
Correct.
Right? You
Negro
go
moreno.
Italian. No, negro means dark. It's when we came to this country, the English language is always, the dictionary is always updating. It's always updating. So they're always adding definitions to words.
Correct.
What they're saying here is this thing is recent. The word nigger never meant ignorant. It was a description of the color of the people that were in the book. So when you read Acts chapter 13 and it says that there were two prophets, Barnabas and Simeon, that were called nigger. When you read the Blue Letter Bible, in its pronunciation, it says nigger. So we have to understand that in this point, she was saying, when we come to this country, there is such a heavy emotional connotation spiritually put on us. We are emotional people, which we shouldn't be.
Okay.
We have emotional ears. We have emotional hearts instead of listening with logistical ears. So the point of all of this is that we have to read. That's our problem. Our problem is we don't read. We read one thing and then that's it. We're set. I don't need to read nothing else. I'm good. That's it. And that's the downfall of our people. The downfall of our people is we're so emotional. We are not, there is no discipline as a whole with our people. You have a few. So when I hear, people of color talking about we gonna fight the white man, we gonna fight that, we will get massacred. They will kill us one by one or drop a bomb. You out your damn mind?
Right.
These dudes have been doing this from the inception of them coming to this country. We can't even get it together on a panel. We gonna come together and fight these cats. So the understanding of it is we need to mentally, spiritually, emotionally, and physically get ourselves together. Now, some people will say, well, you're talking from a defeatist position. No, I'm talking from a realistic position. Even when people say, I remember I had a conversation with someone, they were saying, we're going to get businesses and the white man ain't going to be involved in it. Name a place that the white man hasn't touched on this planet.
Didn't I just say that earlier in the show?
So, name a place that there's no white influence.
Right.
So when you're sitting there and you're saying the white man, dogs, the planet is run how it's run. We just seen this push for global government with the pandemic. We just saw that. And that happened in a few months. And it's not going to stop. So when we're talking about Revelations, I mean, the Old Testament has more prophecies that hasn't happened than the New. The New Testament is when you're talking about Revelations and things of that nature. Now, the Old Testament do talk about Xerxes and all these different kings and all these different things. Yes, it is historical because it goes to show you the validity or the veracity, as some people would want, of the Bible. Absolutely. But what we have to understand is they've dumbed us down to spirituality so much that sometimes a woman can feel something and they will call that a hunch. A man can call that and say that's a hunch. That's your spirit, man.
Tell that. Bolo, say that again to Marcus. Say that again to Marcus.
That's the spirit, man. That's the spirit.
Oh wait, she means Ali. Ali, where you at, bro? Hit the link real quick, Ali. She'll feel very comfortable now.
Ali here somewhere though. He is here.
When something tells you go left, and you choose not to go left, and your tire gets flattened, I bet you when that thing tells
That's what I was trying to tell Lola.
So it's the spiritual connection, right? When we look at all these things, now people are gonna think I'm controversial, but I'm gonna say it anyway.
Go ahead.
We've never been to the moon.
Mm-hmm.
America has not ever gotten out of lower Earth's orbit.
Okay?
All this money that they're putting towards defense is towards a spiritual thing out there that they know is coming. Now, when we read the Old Testament, they were called chariots. Ezekiel.
Polo, wait, pause.
Yeah.
I said this on the stream. I said this. I told them the nuclear warheads is not for here. It's for something that's coming.
How do you deactivate a nuclear warhead once it's activated? Once you split that atom and get nuclear, tell me how you deactivate that. You don't. But here's the thing. What did God say he's going to destroy the earth by this time? Fire. What is nuclear? Fire. So they don't understand that they're playing into the part of a bigger picture.
Correct.
Man don't understand that. So when they're talking about, there's a video that's on YouTube. When Ronald Reagan did the Star Wars program, that wasn't for Russians, because that's what he was saying. Let's put up, satellites with missiles on them so that if, missiles come up because, typically they go into the stratosphere and then they come down, right? That's typically how nuclear missiles go.
Mm-hmm.
There's a video on YouTube, I don't know if it's still there, where they were shooting at something that was just dodging everything that they shot at it. And then you have some scientists that would say, they try to say it's a direction.
Yeah.
There are UFOs. UFOs exist. Okay. You read the scriptures, they were called chariots.
Oh my God.
That's what they were called. That's what they were called.
Oh, man.
The world is going to have a problem with them. It tells you that the Lord walked into a chariot. He's supposed to be coming back with them. There's a lot of there's a lot of things.
Hold on, Bolo. You listen. You gonna take us into 5 a.m. talking like that? Okay.
No, I can't.
It's at 5 a.m. Don't